All right, so in order to go through these problems, like I said, they are going to give us one answer, -3 in this problem. And they want us to find the rest of the solutions, and we can tell how many solutions we're going to have based on the degree of the problem. So you can see right there, I highlighted it for us. A power of 3 means you're going to be looking for 3 solutions. I already know one of them. Okay, one of the solutions is right here. Okay, that's one of my answers. I got to find the other 2. Okay, so the way we're going to do that, and this is the way you're going to do every single problem, you're going to use your answer to divide that expression using synthetic division. So what we did yesterday. After you use synthetic division, you're going to factor your answer using the X method, and that's basically all you have to do. It's always going to be synthetic division, X method, synthetic division, X method. Okay, and we're going to do 3 of these examples so you guys can kind of see it, right? See it over and over again so you kind of see how it works. And then you'll just have 2 more to do for homework, and that'll be it for you guys, okay? So let me show you how this works. Let's do synthetic division. So remember, we add, we multiply. Now the answer that they gave me of -3, that's what I'm going to put in the half circle, okay? Sorry, the half square, so -3. There it is. Now I'm going to put my coefficients after that. So my coefficients are right here, and let me just highlight them for you. So -4 there, -11 there, and a +30. Those are my coefficients. There is a 1 right there that's kind of missing, right? So let me write that down. 1, -4, -11, +30. Now, here's how you know if you're doing this right. Anytime you divide by a solution of the equation, your remainder has to be 0. So, when I'm done doing this problem, if my remainder is not a 0, then I did something wrong. Okay? So that's how you can check if you did the first step right. Like it comes out to remainder of 0. So, here we go. First step, drop the 1. This is what we did yesterday, right? Drop the 1. -3 times 1, that's -3. Now add -4 plus -3, that's a -7. Okay, remember, this is all we did yesterday, so hopefully it's still kind of fresh in your mind here. -3 times a -7 is a +21. -11 plus 21 is 10. -3 times 10, -30. And notice 30 plus -30, that's 0. So that means I've done this right. So far, so good. Okay? I did this right so far. So, let me write my answer, you know, the 1, -7, 10 on the bottom. Let me write it out with the variables. So this is what it looks like. 1x squared minus 7x plus 10. Someone in my 3rd period said, how did you know you had to use an x squared? Remember, you have to look at your original degree. My original degree in this problem was a power of 3, right? It's this right here. That's my original degree. So your answer needs to be 1 degree lower. So if that was x cubed, then I go x squared, right? So that's why I started with x squared. Now, remember what I told you guys. When you do these problems, you're going to do synthetic division first, then X method second, right? So I'm going to factor what I just found using the X method. Now remember, to use the X method, you have to know your ABCs. So A, B, C is right there. On the top of the X, you multiply A times C. That's going to be 10. On the bottom, you drop down your B value. That's a -7. Okay? So, what 2 numbers multiply to 10 but add up to -7? Alright, -5, -2. Good. So, these problems are going to ask you for 2 things. they're going to say, can you find the solutions and can you factor them? Okay, factor the big equation. We just found all three solutions. Remember I told you that -3 was one of them? So is -5, and so is -2. Those are my three solutions. So let me write them out. X equals -5, -3, -2. So far, we've written down part of what they need, which is the solutions, right? Give us the rest of the roots. So we just found 3 of them. So that's good. Now we just got to write that original f of x function, that really long one up there. We got to write it in factored form. Now, the x method helps us do that pretty easy. X minus 5, x minus 2. Okay, so those are our two solutions for this one. And then we're going to actually, wait a minute, it should be positive. Right now I'll fix that. +5 and +3. Right now I'm going to write those back. I just realized I told you the wrong sign. How come that's not erasing? There we go. So x minus 5, x minus 2, and then to find the last factor, it's right here, okay? And right now I'll write the rest of the answers because I just realized I gave you the wrong numbers for those. So to find the last factor, you see how one of my answers is -3, right? Let me erase this too. I don't know why it's not erasing. There we go. So this is what you have to do. You're going to say x equals -3. But to write it as a factor, just move your -3 over. So it'll be x plus 3 equals 0. This is my last factor. You're going to get this right here. And you're going to put it there. So x plus 3. Here's my factor. Now let me rewrite those answers for you, okay? Because I just realized I gave you the wrong signs for the answers. One of my answers is -3, so that was correct. That was fine. The other two answers, you see the -5 and the -2, right? To find them as solutions, just write the opposite sign. So it's going to be a +2 and a +5. So just do the opposite. I'm going to put right here. Opposite for roots. Okay? So you're just going to want to write the opposite for the roots. So -3, 2, and 5. So, I mean, it's a little complicated, the work. You got to do synthetic division, then you got to do X method, then you got to write the factors out and find the zeros. But like I said, this is as easy as I can make it. There is no easier way for me to do it. It's still kind of tough. But I could make it tougher by doing those ones with the imaginary numbers and the square roots and stuff. Then I make it even worse. But I try to keep it so that the answers come out like this with like whole numbers, possibly. Okay? So that way you don't have to worry about like, okay, this stuff is really weird right now. So just focus on synthetic division, X method, okay? So let's try this one right here. Notice we already know one answer. 5 is an answer. Okay, so I'm going to kind of highlight that with green here, just so we know that's where you're going to find one of the answers. The other ones will come out in the X method. You just got to write the opposite of them. Okay? So remember, first step, synthetic division. So let's set that up. We're adding, multiplying. In that half square, you're going to put your answer. So 5. Okay? Now sometimes people say, well, why don't I use -5? I was using the opposite when I was doing it before. It's because it's not in an expression. Before, it would have looked like this. So then you would use the opposite of negative 2. You would use a 2. We're not writing it like that. We're telling you, hey, this is the actual answer. So then you're going to put that right there. And then our coefficients are 1, -7, 2, and 40. And remember, I should expect there to be a 0 at the end. Okay, if it's not, then I did something wrong. So go ahead and do the synthetic division. Right now I'm going to do it with you guys. I'm just not going to say anything. Okay, but you guys should hopefully already be good at doing this. You did yesterday's homework hopefully, and now kind of practicing a little bit more today. So let me go ahead and do the work. I'm not going to say anything. But see if you get the same thing that I get. If you're still working on it, just don't look up. Okay, just give it about 30 seconds. Finish yours. And if you want to check to see if you did it right, look up there. It should look like that. Okay, you drop the 1. 5 times 1 is 5. And then -7 plus 5 is -2. 5 times -2 is a -10. 2 plus a -10 is -8. 5 times -8 is -40. And if you add 40 plus a -40, you get 0. So good. We got that right. So I'm going to write my expression for the answer right here. Okay, the 1, -2, and -8, they're right there. So what am I supposed to do with that? X method, right? So synthetic first, X method next. So let's do the X method. So here are my ABCs. A is 1, B is -2, C is -8. So 8 times C is -8. B is a -2. I need two numbers that give me a -8 that add up to a -2. Say it louder. All right, -4 and 2. Good. -4, +2. Take the opposite of these to find your second and your third answers. Okay, so I'm going to write again opposite of the roots. So here are your answers, the 3 solutions. One of them is a 5, the other one will be a 4, and the other one will be a -2. Okay, it's the opposite of those things that I highlighted in the X method and the actual number that they gave us at the very beginning. All right, so we found those solutions. Now let's find the factor. So it's going to be x minus 4, x plus 2, and the last one is based on this number up here, okay? So we know x is equal to 5. That's one of the answers, right? X equals 5. So just move it over. So that becomes x minus 5 is 0. So that is going to go there. And that's your solution for the factor. So I got my factor and I got my 3 answers. And again, I know this doesn't look like super easy, but I told you this is as easy as I can make it. Okay, I really can't make it any easier than that. I'm not making you do any radical answers, no imaginaries, nothing like that. You're not having to use a quadratic formula. Okay, everything I give you is going to be factorable, so you should be able to do it nice and easy. So hopefully, it's not too bad. So we're going to do one more. And the only reason why I'm going to do one more with you guys is because this last one's a little different in the very beginning. So notice we already know that 5 is an answer, so I'm going to kind of put that right there. I know that's an answer. But look at number 6 here. F of x equals to x cubed minus 21x minus 20. Is there something off about that f of x? Like, is there something missing? The x squared. What am I supposed to replace the x squared space with? A 0. Okay, this is why I wanted to do this, just to remind you. Okay, just a reminder. I know we did it yesterday, but I just want to remind you again. All right. Anytime I see problems are a little off on the homework, I want to make sure you guys at least see one like that, so that you can know how to work it out. Now I'm gonna let you guys do this whole problem, but I'm gonna get you guys started. Okay. So we're gonna get started here. In that half box, you're going to put a 5 and then a 1, 0, negative 21, negative 20. And right here, there better be a what at the end? A 0. If it's not a 0, something's off. Okay? So, do me a favor. I'm going to want you to do the synthetic division. Okay? I'm going to give you about a minute and a half, and then I'm going to pop up the answer that you should be getting, okay? So I'm going to give you about a minute and a half. All right, so by now, hopefully you guys have gone through the numbers and you put everything in. This is what you guys should be getting, okay? So you should have 1x squared, or just an x squared, plus 5x plus 4. Okay, your remainder should have come out to 0, so that's how you check. If it didn't come out to 0, then you know something's off. You got to rework something. And that actually happened to one of my students in my third period. Like, they were doing the work and they called me over and I said, what's going on? They're like, I don't know what I did wrong. It was a sign issue. Like, they forgot to change a sign on something, but they knew they had done it wrong because the remainder was in 0. So that's a nice check step for you. Okay. That way you don't do all the work and eventually after you spend 10 minutes doing the problem, you're like, oh, I'm wrong. Right? No, you'll know immediately if your first thing is correct. All right. So next step from you guys, I'm going to give you another minute and a half or so. Do the X method. All right, so your X method should look like this. Okay, you're going to have a 4 on top because that's your A times C. You're going to put a positive 5 on the bottom because that's a B. And the two numbers that factor, or the two numbers that multiply to 4 and add up to 5 would be a positive 1 and a positive 4. Okay. Now remember, your answers are not positive 1 and positive 4. They're negative 1 and negative 4. Okay, so let me write that little note again for you guys. Opposite of the roots. Okay, that's what we're looking for. The opposite of the roots. So here you go. Negative 1, negative 4, and 5. So the last thing you got to do is just write it in factored form. So you'll get x plus 1, x plus 4, because those are those numbers that we have right there, right? A plus 1 and a plus 4. And to find the last one, we're going to get our original answer, the one that's up here. X equals 5. That's our original answer. So we're just going to move the 5 to the left side. That becomes x minus 5. So this is going to go right there. And that's your solution. So you have 2 more of these problems to do for homework, okay?